Welcome back. I'm Barry Craig. My guest today did something not that many big league pitchers have done. He struck out David Ortiz, the Red Sox slugger. Did he pump his fist? Did he pound his glove? Did he high five? In the dugout, the answer is no. Let's ask him why. My guest today is Josh Stewart, who pitched for the Chicago White Sox in part of the 03 and 04 season, and in the process struck out David Ortiz but did not celebrate. Tell us why.
I was in the middle of a very bad inning. The Red Sox were hitting me around pretty good, and I had just given up a 3-run home run to Manny Ramirez.
Oh, the guy before him.
Yeah, the guy before him, and so, maybe Ortiz, he felt sorry for me or something. I don't know, because he's faced a lot better pitchers than me, and got one off of him. But I lucky enough, I struck him out, and I was just so furious walking off the mound. I didn't even register to me. I'd struck out such a great hitter.
Yeah. Tell us your background. You were actually born in Paducah but grew up in Livingston County.
I lived 17 years in Ledbetter, in Livingston County. Went high school there, played baseball, and essentially that was my childhood, playing baseball. My parents would drive me around the country, going to tournaments, doing everything. They sacrificed quite a bit for me to get the exposure and the opportunities that I got, and we move on to college and everything. And I got a baseball scholarship to the University of Memphis, played there for 3 years, and essentially it just kind of, my baseball career evolved from there. I kept getting, a lot of scouts would come and looking at games and everything. And
well, going back when you played T-ball, the lowest level Little League ball, did you dream then of being a major league ball player?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I had the dreams. The first day I picked up a ball, the first day, I put on my glove and went out there and played, just like every kid does, I'm sure. And at the time,
well, what is it about baseball is called the national pastime, and I confess it's my favorite sport still. What is it, the mystique of baseball? Why is it that it is the national pastime?
I guess it just strikes a chord with people. I don't know. It's a very personable sport. If you ever go to a game, especially minor league games, you can get right down there with the players. A lot of the guys seem a lot more down to earth maybe than some other sports players, and you really don't have to be a good athlete to be a good baseball player. That's probably what strikes a lot of people, what draws a lot of people to it. Whereas, basketball, you need to be, tall, or football, you need to be big and strong. Baseball, you just have to have the certain set of talents and abilities. So, maybe that's what draws people to it.
Well, I think it's definitely a finesse game. And my wife, who I love her dearly, but she doesn't have the same appreciation for it as I do. And we go to major league games, and I said, you understand, this is like a big chess match going on out there. That they're thinking ahead, they're positioning. And, of course, another thing, it's the only sport I can think of that there's no time limit. You play 9 innings, however long that takes. But now you played T-ball in Paducah or
Right.
Ledbetter?
Reedland, Paducah, Lono, just the Western Kentucky area. Yes.
Now, of course, you wound up with the White Sox, but the team you rooted for as a kid was the
St. Louis Cardinals.
Of course.
Absolutely.
And your favorite Cardinal was? I
loved Ozzie Smith. He was a shortstop, and I was a left-handed, first baseman and pitcher. But Ozzie Smith, he was just so exciting and so energetic to watch. He would go out and do that backflip and everything out on the infield. I just thought that was the coolest thing when I was a kid.
I saw him in a game in St. Louis when I was a kid. Younger, let's say. I wasn't exactly a kid. And they were taking batting practice, and a guy had a line drive. He threw his glove up in there and hit the ball, caught the ball on his glove in the other. I thought, that is really cool. Not everybody can do that.
Oh, no.
So you dreamed one day of being on the Cardinal team?
That, absolutely.
Now, who drafted you first?
Out of high school, the Boston Red Sox.
So you could have conceivably been a teammate of David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez.
Conceivably,
possibly.
Yes. Possibly.
So why didn't you go with the boys from Beantown then?
At the time, I was 17, graduating high school, and I was drafted in the 29th round, which anyone who knows anything about the draft, it's not very high to go. And it didn't really seem like the right path for me at that time. I wanted to go to college, and it sounds silly, but I always dreamed of going to college too. And I wanted to do that, and I wanted to grow and mature as a person. And, you know, it's up in the air whether I did or not.
Well, of course, nowadays, isn't it true that colleges often function as the lower level of the minor leagues? Now, my dad was a professional baseball player in the 30s and 40s. You know, you start at D-ball, C, B, A, AA, AAA major leagues. And so college is
A good college game could be the equivalent of, like, you know, single A or double A exactly. And in high school, guys, I mean, I might have, if I'd have signed out of high school, I might have been in rookie ball for 3 or 4 years, you know, developing myself. Whereas coming out of college, you know, I've got that experience, I've got that age, you know, they're going to progress you quicker. So
one thing too, and one of the guests I've had on the show from time to time is Leon Wirth, who was a scout for the Yankees for years. Now he's a scout for the Brewers, and he's one of the big differences in baseball today. And when my dad played, my dad said his entire minor league career, no one ever instructed him on anything. He said, take the ball, go out and throw it. There's much more instruction now, isn't there, with coaches?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a lot of strength and conditioning, a lot of preventative strength exercises, and a lot more focus on the mechanics of how you do things rather than just, you know, go out there and do it. I mean, it's become sort of a science, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. So again, college does function then as like lower level minor. In the old days, you started out when you were 17 in Class D ball, and 4 years later, hopefully, you're up to AA.
Right.
So then you go to Memphis for 3 years, and the Pale Hose signs you. Were you just thrilled that they signed you?
I was, leading up to the draft in June, I was so nervous those 2 weeks. I mean, it didn't matter who called or what team. To be honest, I had no idea the White Sox were even scouting me. That's one of the things the White Sox do, is they don't really, they kind of scout kind of under the radar. I had talked to several teams, the Royals, even the Red Sox again, and about, you know, where I was going to go in the draft, and all of a sudden the White Sox called, and I've never even talked to them, you know. So it's kind of a surprise that it was them, but at the same time, I was floored, you know. It was just starting a new chapter in life.
So when they scout you, they're just sitting in the stands, and for all you know, they're a fan, a scout.
A lot of the times, after a while, I mean, you can pretty much pick out who's there scouting.
The guy with the radar gun is probably not he's probably not a casual fan, right?
Or a stopwatch, or, you know, he sees something, you know, he writes down his little notebook. But
yeah.
I mean, like I said, I honestly thought there were a lot more teams more interested than the White Sox were, so it was a surprise.
So you start playing minor league ball, and where did you play minor league ball?
I got drafted in June, went straight to Bristol, which is on the border of Tennessee and Virginia. It's probably known for its racetrack.
And NASCAR, absolutely, yeah.
Which I'm not a big fan, but I know that the only thing in the town was a big racetrack, and it was definitely an experience. You know, I didn't know what I was in for. I mean, I lived in this rundown apartment with 3 other guys, and we had no car. You know, we'd walk to the field every day, and the field was an absolute dump too. I mean, it was nothing compared to what I had in college. You know, like you say, like college is kind of a step up from the lower levels of the minor leagues, and this is.
So this is Boondocks baseball.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's where they send like every, you know, first year guy, and I was only there for 3 weeks until I moved up to Burlington, Iowa, which is in the Midwest League, single A.
That's quite a change.
Quite a change as far as the competition in the league, but it was like I said, you know, no car, away from home, and it was definitely a life adjustment as well.
Now, you got married while you were in the minor leagues?
I got married in 2000.
Better remember that.
Don't record that.
Take it from an old married man. You better remember that.
Yeah. Make sure you edit that.
Right, we'll edit that.
We got married while I was in the minor leagues. I was in Winston-Salem, and we got married that year.
And the one thing you told me that your wife actually made more money.
Oh, absolutely. The low levels of the minor leagues.
Doing what?
She was the beer girl.
Exactly.
At the games when I was in single A and double A. And I mean, you know, goes to show that, you know, just because I was a professional baseball player, I wasn't making the big bucks then. And she took that job to make ends meet and to go to the games. And like I said, she would bring home her tip jar, and, you know, I'd get my paycheck out. And I mean, you know, she was basically supporting us that time. So.
Now, I believe you also said that while you were in the minors, you crossed paths with Phil Roof.
I did. I guess he was managing in Rochester at the time. and I was playing in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is it's AAA league, and I pitched against his team a couple of times, and every time I would have the chance to meet him, and there was always something going on, just kind of give a wave. I knew his stature back here at home, and all the great things he's done in baseball, and I just going back, I wish I would have took the time to go and sit and talk with him more and just get his take on.
I've had him on the show. He's fascinating. Of course, I could sit for hours and listen to baseball stories, and he knew a bunch of them. And maybe you all can hook up here in Paducah.
I'd love to.
So then you transitioned from what team to the majors?
I'm sorry?
Well, your last minor league team was before you went up to the major league.
I was in Double-A. It was in 2002. And then I got put on the roster for the following year in 2003. And then in spring training, I actually made the team to go with the big league team out of spring training. So I went from Double-A one year to the big leagues the following spring.
That's quite a jump up from Double-A minor league ball to the big show, as they say. What was that? See, where did the White Sox spring training? Where is that?
Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson. So you go out to Tucson, and you're now with the White Sox.
Right.
Major League Ball Club. What was that like? I mean, is it like, gee whiz, here I am?
The first week I was in awe. Like I looked over. I mean, my locker. I was between Billy Koch and Carlos Lee. And I was just thinking, like, what am I doing here? It just the first I was in awe. And after you get out on the field and after you kind of go through the drills and you throw a bullpen, and play a few games, you kind of start to realize, like, these are the lucky guys that have gotten a chance, and I'm essentially one of them. And the talent level really isn't that different. It's just it's all about getting that chance. So I mean, I went from being a sense of awe to being like, I can compete with these guys.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was my next question.
Okay.
Was the difference between, there are thousands of guys, including my dad, who played the minors but never made it to the major leagues. And so I guess my question is, what is the big step? What's the difference fundamentally between AAA International League, let's say, and the major leagues? Is there that big a step up?
As far as the overall talent level, not really. You have your few superstars, like A-Rod, or King Griffey Jr. a few years ago. I mean, that are just they're going to set themselves out, stand out even in the major leagues. But as far as the general team talent level, there's not that much difference. A lot of it is just being in the right place at the right time. And I mean, even when I got called up, I'm sure there were guys on other teams, that had more talent than I did, but they weren't in my situation at the time I got called up. It's all about timing. It really is, and just seizing the opportunity when you get it, because baseball is a very, very short lifespan for a career. So you got to take advantage of everything you get.
Another thing too that I've always liked about baseball, it's the old expression: on any given day, a last place team could beat a first place team. In football, that's not as common. If you're like 0-10 and playing a team that's 10-0, the odds are just about zero you're going to win. But in baseball, why do you suppose it is? I mean, the cellar dwellers, the lowest of the low, can beat a first place team. How does that happen?
I have to revert back to my last answer. The talent level really isn't that big of difference. I mean, a lot of the times, I guess who is a perennial cellar dweller, the Devil Rays. I mean, they've got amazing talent, but they're all pretty young, and so they don't have the same experience as say the guys on the Yankees have. But as far as any given day, they could go out there and just dominate them.
Absolutely.
But they're inconsistent with that domination, and over time they'll gain the experience, and so hopefully.
Now, as a pitcher, a left-handed pitcher, like my dad was, the thing that always amazed me again about pitching, you're the same person every day. You go out one day, you're unhittable. Your stuff is great. Your curveball is breaking, your fastball is hopping. You can't be beat. Then the next time you come out, you get shelled. What happens?
It is one of those things that's very tough to answer, and you really just have to stay on that even keel, because if you allow yourself to get too high, it'll be brought back down, and it's just.
So baseball is a big mental game. A lot of it's
very
mental.
much so. It's a very humbling game as well. And I kind of going back to your question, some of my best games, stat-wise, when you open up the paper the next day, I didn't have anything. I was leaving the ball right down the middle. I didn't have a good curveball, but guys were just hitting it right at guys. Right at the shortstop. They'd hit line drives. Right at the third baseman. And some of the games I had the best stuff in the world. For me, not the best stuff in the world, but guys would just find the holes with the hits. So I mean, it's a lot. You kind of have to seize your own opportunity and do as best you can, but there's a huge luck factor that goes in there as well.
Oh yeah, you watch the game on TV and somebody hits a screaming line drive and the second baseman just right there, just boom, that was wrong hand. This end, sorry, not too many left-handed second basemen. And then you hit what Dizzy Dean used to call a C&I ground ball. Right. It just rolls right through and for a base hit.
And on those C&I ground ball, the pitcher essentially beat the hitter at that competition, but the hitter gets the credit for the hit, and vice versa. You hit a line drive, you didn't fool the guy, he was right on you. He just hit it right at somebody. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a huge luck factor involved.
Now, let's go to your first Major League game. We've talked about this before. April the 9th, wasn't it? I believe I looked it up.
It was early April.
And it was in Chicago.
Right.
And the weather was not very spring-like.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Describe the game for us.
Well, before the game, I was in the clubhouse about to throw up.
And you're the starting pitcher.
I was the starting pitcher. I was so nervous. And I remember Aaron Rowan, he plays center field for the Phillies now, he came to me and said, hey, you know what, all this is just a minor league game. It's just a little bit more publicized. That's all it is. So he kind of put me in that mindset, like it's the same thing I've been doing my whole life. And so, it kind of got me in that right mindset. I went out there on the mound. I mean, there were flurries going when, the game started. It was snowing, and I went out there. I was numb. I don't know if it was from the cold or just from nerves or something. But, I mean, Bobby Higginson was the first batter, and I didn't know. I honestly didn't know what I was doing. I went through my mind, through it. Luckily, it was right down the middle, strike one, and then I became focused on the game at hand. I got to realize, hey, I know what I'm doing out here.
Now, that's a good point. You look at games, how important is it to a pitcher to get that first pitch over for a strike? Does it set the tone for the game?
It helps your own confidence, and at the same time, it shows the other team that, you're on your game, so to speak. If you go out there, the first couple of pitches or you're bouncing or hitting the backstop.
Yeah.
It gives that other team a lot more confidence, and also, I mean, your manager's probably warming up somebody in the bullpen at the same time. So it's huge to get that first strike over.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was huge for me, and it helped me get focused on the game.
And you got him out, didn't you?
I did. He ended up grounding out to second base.
Yeah. Well, now you had a pretty good cheering section from Western Kentucky at that game, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely.
And well, from the pitcher's mound, could you see your dad and your friends? I mean, could you see where they were, or do you even notice?
I knew where they were in the family section, and from the pitcher's mound, I couldn't really make them out, but I could see them when I was walking off the field. I could look up. We were going to the third base dugout. I could look up and I could see them up there. It was, I think, about 30 or 35 people came up for that, and they were all sitting up there freezing, but it meant a lot to me.
Another thing too, of course, my dad used to talk about players, they call them rabbit ears. That they would. I don't know if it's a term in baseball anymore, but when the fans razz you and it gets onto you. Can you hear the taunts and the jeers out there?
Not any specific person, unless there's like 100 people in the stands. Then you can
chanting,
hear everything, right? But generally speaking, it's all one noise. But you can tell the mood of the crowd from that noise. It's either a cheer or get this guy out of here, burn him at the stake. But,
right.
You can tell, but it's all just kind of a general noise.
Yeah. Another story you told me, which I enjoyed, was the rookie initiation for the White Sox, which is common for big league teams. Go through that step by step. What did they do to you?
We were playing the Yankees in Chicago, and we were on the way to Boston that night after the game for like a 10-game road trip, Boston, Minnesota. And so after the game, we're supposed to, shower, put on our suits, go straight to the airport, and fly off in our chartered plane. And everything was normal to me. I go, take a shower, come back, and in my locker is not a suit, but it's this like skin-tight sundress that would look pretty good on a prostitute, I would say. And so, after a little taunting back and forth, it was me and a couple other rookie guys. Aaron Miles was one of them. He plays with the Cardinals now, and we were pretty much told, hey, you're wearing that on the plane, So put it on. Everybody gets their little laughs in. And what I didn't know was, I had to wear it from the clubhouse out through the family section, past all the other wives and all the other families, out past
And
all.
what are they saying? Is you just whistling at your?
Everybody's pretty much laughing because they know it's coming.
Right.
And essentially, all the other veteran guys had done it before.
Right.
So, I mean, everybody knows it's coming. But the worst part was actually going out, because from the stadium out to the team bus, there's fans out there waiting for autographs. And so.
Did you sign any
I had
in
to.
the dress?
I had to go out and sign autographs in the dress. And, WGN was there with their camera, and so we got to be on the little news blurb. That was a lot of fun. So, signed autographs, got on the bus, went to the airport, and, went through security, all that fun stuff. Just
now, when you're going through security, I guess it was at O'Hare Airport or Midway?
Midway.
Did they know what was going on, the security people?
Pretty much, because we kind of had the same security people and the same flight staff on every charter flight we had. So they pretty much knew what was going on.
Yeah.
So none of them really looked me in the eye. They just kind of looked down.
Right.
They knew what was going on, and so.
So you get on the plane this Sunday, and your Miles is wearing what?
He had on like I guess you'd call it a muumuu.
Oh boy!
I mean, it was just really. I guess that's the right terminology. Just really loose, what you might see.
That would be a muumuu. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
just really down to the floor.
Okay.
So I don't know how they picked that for him and this for me.
That's a good question. Yeah.
But got on the plane, got to Boston, and I thought it was over once we got to Boston. I'm like, all right, we're done. And so from the airport in Boston to the hotel, we were on the bus, and
So you had to claim your baggage and everything with the just like regular.
Everything, just like go through the whole the whole travel process.
Okay.
And we get to Boston, and they stop the bus. It's about 11:30 at night now, and I've never been to Boston before. And I didn't know where we were at, and so they stopped the bus on the way to the hotel, about 1.5 miles from the hotel, downtown Boston, and they tell us to get out. All they tell us is the name of the hotel, and they don't tell us how to get there or what to do. So essentially, we're roaming the streets downtown Boston.
It's three, you guys.
Dressed as women,
and
having to ask directions to find this hotel. And
how did they react when you said, did you explain to them who you were and what you were doing?
Not really. I really didn't want people to know who I was. I was hoping they would think I was, escaped from somewhere.
Transvestite, right.
Yeah,
sure.
right, yeah. I was hoping they would just think I was just some anonymous
crazy person.
Crazy person, exactly.
Okay.
But eventually we had a lot of people just ignore us, like, whatever.
Yeah. It's probably the best.
Yeah, and I would too. I'd do the same thing.
Exactly. Ooh, I don't know who is that. Yeah.
So we had a cab driver that was nice enough, tell us where to go and everything. And so we get there, get to the hotel. Everybody's waiting on us, taking pictures, and all that fun stuff they do. And I remember then I was thinking, like, I was starting to have fun with it then. I was like, this isn't that bad. And then Paul Konerko pulled us aside and he's like, you know what, this is go get your suit on. It's in your room. We'll go get something to eat now. It's kind of like a rite of passage.
Exactly.
Like, it's kind of like saying, welcome to the club.
Right.
You went through it, and I was just looking back. It was a lot of fun. And
do you have pictures of it, by the way?
I do, and they disappeared. I don't know if someone's trying to.
Maybe your wife.
Maybe so. I had some pictures, and we've moved 100 times. I'm sure anyone who's ever played baseball knows the nomadic lifestyle, and they're in a box somewhere. And
the other story you told me, I guess a practical joke, is you were being interviewed on television once, and tell that story.
It was after my first win against the Cleveland Indians. It was, I think, my third game that I pitched.
In Chicago.
In Chicago, yes. And I was being interviewed by DJ Darren Jackson. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him. On the him and Hawk Harrelson do the games.
Oh yeah, Ken Harrelson.
Harrelson,
sure.
Yes. And
Harrelson.
I was being interviewed by him. It was some pregame show, just hey, how did it go? That kind of stuff. And I'm just talking, just kind of answering his questions. I was a little proud.
You won.
Glad to be there.
Absolutely.
Glad to be there. Glad to be doing the interview. And all of a sudden, just this vanilla cream pie right in my face, on TV. And I turn around, and Kelly Wunsch, who. Great guy, good practical joke type guy. I see him running off, and so I tried to keep my composure and not get mad. I tried to finish the interview
Just like nothing happened.
Just like nothing had happened.
Right.
And
right.
I became a little flustered. I might have mumbled a few cuss words when it happened.
I think that's happened before. I've heard of ball players doing it. In fact, I've seen on outtakes that.
Yeah,
happening,
it happens a lot.
happens.
And like I said, it was fun. It's all in fun. I mean, it's a good group of guys, good fraternity of guys in baseball.
Oh,
so
it is. And again,
it's all in fun. It's all in fun.
And you achieved the dream of millions of us who played baseball at some lower level. I mean, to actually make the major leagues. Another thing you told me was you didn't know that there were actually baseball cards with your mug on them. And as a matter of fact, Josh brought some for us today to look at. I'm going to hold these up. And that is quite an array of baseball cards. Now, when you were a kid, I'm sure growing up, you collected baseball cards.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And you dreamed one day of being on a baseball card.
Absolutely.
And when you saw yourself on a baseball card the first time, what did you think?
It was kind of a surreal feeling, kind of a, just kind of a proud feeling, knowing that, I was, fortunate enough to have, the right circumstances happen to where I, could be able to do something like that. And my second feeling was, it was a kid handing it to me to sign it for him, and I had never seen it before, and I wanted to keep it. I was thinking like, hey, maybe this is the only card I have. I had no idea they were, they were making cards and stuff, and so I almost wanted to ask him if I could keep the card, just because it sounds kind of crazy, but I wanted it. I didn't know how many there were or what they, how long I was going to be there. I didn't know if it was my only chance to get a card, but little did I know. I mean, they're,
And your wife collected these for you, did she not?
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, she bought a lot of them on eBay.
It's a good place to buy
because
them.
I mean, I don't know if you can see, like I signed some of these little tabs, and then they put them on the cards. That was kind of a card deal I would have, like Donruss or Topps, and so I didn't get any cards, for free for myself. So she went on eBay and bought them and stuff, just to collect them.
So how they do that for big league ball players? They give you these stickers to sign, or how do they do that?
They do that a lot with guys. Some will have you sign like a hologram type thing, and then they'll imprint it on the card. I don't know if you've seen that before.
No, they didn't have that when I collected cards.
Okay,
Yeah.
and some of those, I mean, they send you like 3,000 little those little glowing stickers, and you sign your name on all of them, and then they go through the process of putting them on the card. So I don't know if it.
Well, we're almost out of town. An injury got you out of baseball. Your left was it a shoulder injury?
It was last year. I was in AAA with the Marlins and just had bone spurs in my elbow. Had surgery.
Elbow, yeah.
And rehabbed, and I never really came back, full strength. And this winter I didn't get any good offers, and so it just kind of time to make a life transition and go back to school.
And you're at Murray State.
Yes.
Majoring in
Human resource management.
Okay. And your wife's name is
Ashley.
And you have a son.
2-year-old named Jake.
Jake. Is Jake going to be a ball player like Dad?
I don't care what he does as long as he's happy, but he.
That's exactly what my dad said, by the way, and I think that's absolutely correct. That's great.
Right now, if he had his choice, he'd be probably race car driver.
He could wind up going to Bristol. Actually,
He could.
We could do that.
That'd be a nice.
It would be a nice transition. He could go where Dad played ball. And speaking of going around in circles fast, he's doing his hand that way, which means I have to shut up.
Okay.
We're out of time.
All right.
My guest today was Josh Stewart. I'm Barry Craig. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.